Hey there, welcome back. Today we're going to do something a little bit out of the norm that I normally do, and we're going to talk about Volkswagens. That's right, Volkswagen Beetles. I get asked this quite a bit, so I've decided to make a video about the kind of questions I get asked is, should I buy a Volkswagen? Can they be good daily drivers? How much are they worth? And what are the things I need to look out for? And I'm going to try to cover them in this video. Alright, so let's dive into this. First off, you should probably know that there's a regular Beetle and a Super Beetle. This one is a 1973 Volkswagen Super Beetle. Now let me talk about the Super Beetle for just a little bit. I won't try to stay here forever on this subject. Alright, now to identify a Super Beetle is a Super Beetle has a curved windshield. Alright, all but I think either 71 or 72 they were flat and they were still called Super, but they did not have a curved windshield. Only anything past 73 had a curved windshield. And they also, the Super Beetles have a dash. I don't know how good you guys can see that, but you can see they actually have a real dash in there, where the regular Beetles have a flat dash and everything. Alright, some of the other big changes of it is the Super Beetle is actually a little bit wider than your standard Beetle, and a Super Beetle has modernized suspension. What I mean by that is that it's got McPherson struts here, so this thing will cruise down the highway. Now your regular Beetle, it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more cruder, and honestly, if you're a big dude, you're gonna be cramped. I'm a big dude, I'm still kind of semi-cramped in this car. Not too bad, but it's a little tighter in a regular Beetle. Now, buying parts wise, a Super Beetle costs more in parts than a regular Beetle does. I don't know why, it just does. So if you're planning on buying a Super Beetle, just be warned that the parts will cost at least double or almost double than what a regular Beetle parts will cost. Alright. Okay, let's talk about things to look out for on a Volkswagen. And the good thing is there's not really a whole lot. Now, the normal thing that is rust. And these things, over time, they do rust. And the worst areas that I've noticed is your battery tray that'll be over here on the passenger side in the rear corner. Down there is what is the acid drips off and goes down, and it usually a rust hole will form. Now I've had mine fall completely out. It was that bad. So that's something to be looking for. Also, if you have these vents right here, these vents, now this side is pretty good. So let me move on to the other side so I can show you real fast. Don't mind my cat. Alright, you see these vents? This helps bring in airflow down in here, because these are air-cooled engines and they will get hot. Alright? But you can see the bubbles here. And what happens is when water or condensation or whatever just gets in there, it sits in there and it starts forming rust bubbles and it starts eating away a little bit. Alright. Really, the only way to fix this would be probably to replace this whole panel, but it doesn't look terrible, but I won't know until I actually get in there, but I don't think I'm going to mess with that right now. Okay, those are the most common things to look for, other than your normal car inspection of tires, tie rods, and everything. But most of that stuff can be easily fixed. So those are some of the big ones, because you have to replace panels and everything. And the good thing is they do sell panels that you can buy, or just that section of the battery tray, and replace. It's not really hard to do. I think me and my dad did it as a day project on a Saturday, and had it done in about 4 hours. Had a new panel in there, and nothing to it, and everything. Okay, now we're going to talk about reliability. How reliable are these cars? All right, for the most part, they're okay. Now, I drove this thing through high school, college, and to work for about the first 6 months when I got a first job. And that was 100 miles round trip and everything. And I'm going to admit, it broke down quite a bit. I have broken down with this car so many times that I can't even count. But half the time I can get it back running with just carrying a few basic tools and everything. And I usually get it back on the run and at least limp it along long enough for me to get somewhere where I can get parts, or you may make it to a safe place and everything. So this has been, on a normal car, a modern car, you wouldn't be able to do that too much. But this one, you can kind of make it run and at least get you to the where you need to be safe. But overall, they are old, so they're not new cars. It's going to break down, and like I said, I drove the living snot out of this. I went to college in Waco, and I lived down here near Conroe, and I'd come home every weekend. So you imagine how big of a trip that is on that car, doing that once or twice a month, then going and then working for. I worked over at Hobby Airport, coming home to Conroe, which was a 100-mile round trip for 6 months, and just doing what I do for high school. When I was in high school, driving around, you know. So I have put a lot of miles on this. I've gone through a few engines. I think this is my second engine I've gone through, and that's another topic I'll get into here in a minute about engines here, about buying one or getting one. All right. Okay, let's talk about the engine right here. This is an air-cooled engine. Now, this is not your normal 1600 cc. As you can see, I have done quite a modifications to it. It's got the Weber carburetor, a 75 amp alternator, and a electronic ignition system. I got rid of the points because I had so many problems with points. Every time it rained, because this car sits outside and it has always sit outside and everything, water condensation, humidity would affect those points, and it would get wet and it wouldn't start half the time. And it was always annoying, you know, leaving school or leaving work and the damn car would not start and everything. But these are good, easy working motors. You can work on this thing on the side of the road. I mean, literally, I've done it many times to get things going, and there's nothing really too much to them and everything. I mean, I've built one from a long block that I got, and it's pretty simple and everything. All right, let's talk about how much should you pay for one. Now, this is kind of a questionable subject because of the economy we're in, and so the prices may not be what they were when I bought mine. Now, like I said earlier, I bought mine for 400 bucks. It was a little rough, it needed a little love, and that was probably a good buy and everything. Now, if you want to buy a car that's a little bit, it's running, a little bit fixed up, you're going to pay a little bit more. I would say about maybe $3,000 to $35,000. It depends on how nice it's been fixed up. This one is still a little rough, but it has a lot of extra goodies on it. Like, it's got 4-wheel disc brakes and everything I had mentioned earlier in the engine, and the interior is new. I mean, it really needs some body work done to it and a new paint job, and this car would be really looking good. But even so, I would say I'd get maybe 32 to 35. At least that's where I would try to start on selling it. Now, these Super Beetles probably won't sell as good as a regular Beetle. Now, a regular Beetle could demand a lot more money than what a Super Beetle does. So, if you check everything and everything looks good and you got no rust spots, then $3,000 or $35,000 is not a bad buy. If it looks good, decent paint job, no rust spots, everything seems to be good, low mileage on your engine and everything, because that is something you have to take effect. These engines need a lot of TLC, something I should have mentioned earlier. But if you don't have hydraulic lifters, you have to adjust the valves every 10,000 or check them every 10,000 miles. I usually just adjust them anyway. I'm changing the oil, I'm putting new valve covers, gaskets on. I'm going to check and adjust them anyway while I'm there, just because I don't want to have any problems with my engine at all. I'm tired of going through engines and everything. You live and learn. Okay, I'm going to give my final thoughts because I only got 2 minutes left on my video time here, and what I think about whether you should buy one or not. If you're looking for a father and son project, then yes, this is it. This car is simple, especially if you're not technically mechanically inclined enough. You can read a book. In fact, here before this video is over, I'll show you a book that you can get. But these things are run by cables, very little electronics. It's all mechanical, and it would be a good father and son project. And it definitely it will not, what I say, go through your bank account pretty fast. Sorry about that. It seems like every time I video, someone shows up. Never fails. All right, where was I talking about these things? I would pay no more than about $35 for one of these, only because they made these things by the millions, and there's so many of them out there that you can go find one, especially on the Samba webpage. You know, they sell them. You can find some in your area. Craigslist. I mean, there's just so many of them out there, and if someone doesn't want to, you know, give or anything, you can just go find another one. Not a big deal. But if you can get one for under $1,000 that looks halfway decent and it's all there and running, that's a great deal and everything. Okay, here are 2 books I recommend getting if you plan on having a Volkswagen. Obviously, this one is your regular maintenance manual, and this one's are how to keep your thing, and it's really interesting to read here. Really good. I definitely recommend it. In fact, I'm actually going to keep this one. If I ever sell my Volkswagen, I'd keep this because it's really good and handy if you can still find them. Well, that's about all the time I have for today. If I missed anything, just leave a comment and I'll be glad to help you out. Until next time, guys.